Women return with pregnancies, sorry, and babies. Wow, that's a serious one. People who are adopted, women who are adopted by
That's
people,
very,
came
very
back with
sad.
pregnancies, and some of them were even carrying babies.
That's very, very sad.
The
Very,
stories
very
we hear
sad.
these days on the newspaper is quite surprising.
I mean, these are stories that if some other nations they hear this kind of stories, they declare state of emergencies. But it has become so normal in Nigeria where terrorists will go to a village, pick people up, rape them. When they come back, they are coming with babies. I mean, these are babies of terrorists. These are things they've made them, destroy the psyche of this woman. And I just hopefully we have a leadership that comes in and that says, or the leaders presently, they come in and they put a stop to this menace. It's so sad. It's so sad, really.
Also, beside it, we see that alleged 6.9 billion naira fraud, EFCC appeals, fires, acquittal. Beneath it, we have the big headline that Makinde, Kayemo, and others react to articles quit PDP again. And if you look beneath it, we also see the story we just spoke about, the 151 police officers before disciplinary panel over ethical violations and others. And back to our former question, where we see that expert links FX stability on seasonal farming and inflation. Back to that particular story, we see that Nigerian inflation rate is slightly dropped from in 3 times in a row, 3 months, in a row, and now they are spending at 22.22% in June 2025. Now, expert has linked the drop mainly to the farming activities, which helped to improve food supply and all of that. However, this inflation is easing, and the consumer price index, that's CPI, has tax to the general price of goods and services. Now, my question is, how can Nigeria actually ensure this downstream trend in inflation to sustain it beyond just seasonal factors?
You see, one of the things that brought about this stability is the fact that we're in rainy season. We have to tell ourselves the truth. And rainy season ensures that people farm well. It's a farming season, people can go to their farms and farm. Now, to your question, how can we sustain it? We have said here that farming brought about a reduction in inflation, right? So how do we make people farm better? You provide security for the farms. You get people need to be secured in their farms. Thank God that it's rainy season now, and there's this thing, water that is coming. God is giving us water from the heavens, and it's pouring down on our source. How do people irrigate their farmlands when the rainy season stops? You have to give them a sustainable way for them to irrigate their farmlands. You have to provide technology for them to be able to store their crops. So these are the ways by which you can sustain this. When we are saying that farm produce now is becoming cheaper, farm produce is getting better, the FX is being stabilized in the market, government has to provide enabling environment for sustainability of these things. When tomatoes, now how do we store our tomatoes? How do we store rice? What facilities are there? Are there a lot of silos to store rice? There was one time, I think it was the former administration, around Abuja here, there was this they inaugurated like a committee, and they brought in some silos to Abuja here to store rice and all of that, but we didn't see sustainability of that. We just came as a kangaroo project, and the silos are still there, but there's no rice being stored there. So these are the things that government needs to look at. Then also, let's talk about Naira stability. Economists will tell you that stability is needed to grow the economy. We are talking about FX. Your FX needs to be stable. You cannot be having Naira today will be 1,580 something. Tomorrow it will be 1,520. Next tomorrow it will be 1,510. Once that is, the economy, the Naira is not stable. So the CBN needs to find a way to make the Naira stable. I don't know what they are going to do. I'm not an economist, but they need to find a way to make the Naira stable. Once the Naira is stable, you see that people will begin to buy the Naira. People will begin to use the Naira more, even in the foreign exchange. So CBN needs to find a way to stabilize the Naira. get the naira to be stronger, and before you know it, inflation rate will begin to drop. So that because 22% is still very high. 22% inflation rate is still very high. Some countries are in single digits. We should aim to be in single digit inflation. 5%, 6% is okay. That's what developed countries do. There are some countries that are on 3%. So we shouldn't be having 22% inflation. It's terrible. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The next newspaper front page we'll be looking at is the Nation newspaper, where we see that Obasanjo and Ayekun differs on the need for new constitution. We also see that UBA trans-border payments are now seamless in page 4, as Fayos close the tears after acquittal by the court in page 6 of that newspaper. And beneath it, we have that the knock for ex-Vice President Atiku after dumping PDP for the third time. He says that I left because of the economic differences. And the exit is not just an effect on us, says Makinde, in response to the former Vice President Atiku. And beneath it, we also have that Otu Deco exits First Health Co. in 323 billion naira deal. We also see the prayers for Buhari in Daura and Abuja FEC extraordinary season for the council chambers. We also see beneath it that inflation drops for the third time in a row. The story we just spoke about, even as plant ends to fish imports. Then back to the story where we see that Obasanjo Ayekun push for better leadership and new constitution. I think it was in a news last week, beyond last week into last weekend, that they were pushing for a new constitution. Now, as a lawyer, because as a barrister, what do you think about bringing a new constitution? How do you think we can actually even make our constitution stable? Is it good, the idea of changing constitution each and every regime of presidency?
I'm of the opinion, my own personal opinion, that Nigeria does not really need a new constitution. The one that we have, what have we been able to use it well? Have we been able to follow the rules and what is stated in the constitution? You see, Obasanjo is of the view, and I also follow suit with him, that the present constitution as instituted is enough. Let me tell you, Nigeria has a lot of good laws. We have a lot of good laws. And by the way, the constitution is also being amended almost every year. There are amendments to the constitution. Yeah. But the thing is, leadership. Do we allow the right leadership to be able to enforce this constitution? That is the major problem. We can bring in a new constitution today, but if our leaders still go with the same mindset, the constitution will have no effect. So definitely every constitution needs to be amended. Amendments can be brought into play. You amend certain areas of the constitution to make for a growing society, a society that is advancing. Everywhere in the world, they always amend their constitutions. But the one that we presently have, are we following through with the constitution? If the constitution says A, do we do A, or we go and do another thing that the constitution doesn't say? And our judges enforcing this constitution, our judges interpreting this constitution the right way. So that is the major problem. The constitution as we currently have, are we following through with it? That's my own challenge. And once we can begin to follow through with our present constitution as constituted, then we can begin to say, okay, these are the areas we need to look at. These are the areas that these are the sections we need to amend to make our society better. That is that's my own primary goal or primary aim. Not just that we should scrap the constitution and bring in a new constitution. No. I'm not. Other people might be of a different opinion, but me, I'm of the opinion that leave the constitution as instituted. Let us be making amendments as our society progresses.
Does it even add to the movement of this country from one state to another, to a better Nigeria, the better Nigeria we're looking for? How does the constitution actually contribute to moving Nigeria into that better Nigeria that we're looking into?
You see, there is no country that can survive or that can advance without good laws.
Of course.
There is no country that can make progress without having the right laws in place. So the constitution, what the constitution does is it provides a foundation for which people can make progress. You see, laws are meant to enable or ensure that people make progress in the society. For example, if a criminal comes in here and he kills people and there is no law to punish that criminal will go to another place and do the same thing. You get so the laws serve as a protective mechanism for other people against any criminal. So if that criminal is punished, then the law has taken its course. That's the job of the Constitution. That's the job of the Constitution. Now, the Nigerian Constitution has instituted, I'm a lawyer and I've gone through the Nigerian Constitution. There are some areas that it still needs to be amended. Some people have even argued maybe the presidential system of government that we are running and the bicameral legislature that we are running, Senate and House of Reps, might be too bogus. I somehow agree with it. We can run it, maybe we can change it to a parliamentary system. We can reduce the number of House of Reps members or constituencies. We can make it a unicameral legislation and all of that. But the main thing is follow through with the Constitution that you have. What the law states. Our politicians don't follow the law. That's the truth. They don't follow the Constitution. And Nigerians are not aware of this. The Constitution will say something and Nigerians will not say, our politicians will not follow through on it. So that's the problem. The Constitution as it's currently set up, the Nigerian Constitution as it's currently set up, if our leaders truly follow through on obeying and abiding with this Constitution, if our institutions are strong enough to punish people that do not follow this Constitution, then you will see that the problem is not with the Constitution, it's with the leaders of the country, it's with our mindsets. Is with if the leaders of the country don't understand or don't abide with the Constitution, definitely when you bring in another Constitution, they will still do the same thing. Yeah.
Moving on to the next newspaper front page, we see Daily Sun newspaper front page where we see that Shetima Atiku Obi and others attend prayer sections for Buhari in Daura. That story can be found in page 26 of that newspaper. And on to the next newspaper headline, we see that PDP Atiku exit means nothing, says Makinde. And beneath it, we also see call for a new constitution reverberates yet again, just what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And beneath it, we also see the Nigerian oil production raises above OPEC's quota. We saw that yesterday also on the newspaper front page. And beside it, we have alleged 6.9 billion fraud EFCC to appeal Fayosi's acquittal. That story can be found in page 4 and in page 25 of that newspaper. We see that UBA's LEO becomes Africa's first chatbot for cross-border transfers. And in page 26 of that newspaper, we see that why I can't forget Buhari, ex-EFCC boss Farida Wiziri says. And on to the next newspaper front page that's all the newspaper front page we have. So we'll be going into our tech news, where we see that privacy group files complaints against AliExpress, TikTok, and WeChat. Now, Australian advocacy group NYB has filed a data privacy complaint against China, AliExpress, TikTok, and WeChat, accusing them of violating the European Union's law by not giving users full access to their personal data. While most of these tech companies offer tools for users to download their data, the Nobi says that Chinese platform makes it difficult. Nobi, which has previously targeted the US firms like Apple, Alphabet, and Meta, is calling for a fine up of 4% of global revenue and suspension of data transfer to China. Now, this particular tech news, when I was looking at it, I think it was something related to a situation like this we're talking about yesterday in one of our programs. And we're talking about, I think it was yesterday or the first day, we're talking about the ability for people to actually have their data. And how safe can this data be on these social media
platforms? Yes.
I think we also stated that is one of the reasons why the US President Donald Trump wanted to bring down WhatsApp. The safety of these people's data and the availability of this data on these social media
platforms. You see, that just goes back to what we're saying about laws. Laws are in place to protect us. You see, data privacy is very, very important. TikTok, WeChat, and AliExpress. When you join these platforms, you present your data to them. Then also the way when you use these platforms, the algorithm, when you're on TikTok, the kind of things you watch, the kind of things, it's also sending your personal information to them. Now, this Austrian advocacy group is saying, look, give people their personal data. Let them be able to access their own data. It's not for you. Let them be able to access it. It's theirs. Because, we are living in a very, very covert world now, where your data can be used for any other thing. Your data can be used to commit crime against you yourself. So you have to have these data privacy laws they are very, very important. And these tech companies, even in Nigeria too, tech companies need to beware. The way you use personal data of people matters a lot. Thank God we have we have a data protection agency in Nigeria. So because we should also take a clue from the Austrian advocacy group that data protection is very, very important. The people on TikTok, on Facebook, WhatsApp, what are they using our data for? Can we have access to our data? Let us know what you actually know about us, so that we can prevent you from knowing some things. Like there are some things I won't want outsiders to know about me, but some of these people, they have it. So it's very important that we ourselves in Nigeria, coming to Nigeria, we follow this cue from the Austrian, and we begin to ask questions about these tech companies. TikTok, Facebook, WhatsApp, our data. What are you using it for? Let our National Assembly too begin to ask these questions. Our data, what are you using it for? Do we have access to our data? These are all Chinese companies, by the way. And China, USA, European Union, they are not in good terms because everybody is weary of China these days. And everybody is beginning to say that China, they are using our data for maybe to spy on us, to do some covert operations and all of that. That's their own. But here in Africa too, we need to also beware, because we are part of the world. We are part of the global world. We need to also be asking questions as to our data privacy. What Damisi Adenikinju? What does WhatsApp know about Damisi Adenikinju? Is my data protected? TikTok. What does TikTok know about Damisi Adenikinju? I should be able to have access to getting my own data. What do you know about me? So that's my comment.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, we'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the newspaper front page that we went through for today. So stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we had a series of newspaper front page that we looked at before we went on a short break. Newspapers like the Daily Times newspaper, the Nation newspaper, and the Daily Trust newspaper. We also looked at the Punch newspaper, and we looked at the Daily Sun newspaper. We also looked at the Guardian newspaper. And the last but not the least we looked at was our tech news on the privacy group files complaint against AliExpress, TikTok, and WeChat. Now we've come to a close of our newspaper review, and we had our lawyer, barrister Damisi, in the house, who helped us on some of the cases and issues in the front page of the newspaper headlines. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing us again with your presence.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being with us out there. Thank you for staying tuned. And we ask that you follow us on all our social media platforms, as well as our Idea Television YouTube page. And we also ask that you like, and don't forget to comment. And also, do stay tuned even as we bring you more innovative programs after this. Thank you very much. I am Jacobs Deborah.